Hello. Welcome to the international headquarters of the multimedia entertainment conglomerate that is Papa Nick's Music. I'm your host, Papa Nick Lewis, and today we're talking about feeling out of step. If you look at any of the videos that I've posted lately, you will very quickly get get a sense of what kind of music I like. And I thought I would take an opportunity to head in the opposite direction for a bit. Let's talk about some things that I'm not particularly fond of that you might think I do like. Based on the artists that I've profiled, based on the music that I've recorded, based on demographic qualities, there are certain things that you probably think I like that I'm not all that fond of. And so, in the interest of presenting the entire taste palette that is the editorial slant of Papa Nick's Music, I wanted to take a little bit of time to talk about some things that I'm not all that fond of that might surprise you. Before we get into this, the subjectivity notice is really important this time. There is no such thing as objectively good or objectively bad music. There is only music that I like, music that I do not like. The aesthetic experience is inherently, innately, by definition, subjective. There is no such thing as objectively good music. So, when I'm talking about these artists and these works here coming up, I'm not saying that these are bad. I'm saying that I don't like them. There's a difference there. We can disagree about music all day long. That's a fun conversation, trying to explain to people who don't like what you do like or who do like what you don't. That's interesting. That's fun. That's entertaining. As long as we keep it, as long as we keep firmly in mind the notion that there's no such thing as objective quality here. There's no such thing as objectively good or objectively bad music. We're all good. Which just means feel free to leave a comment below to tell me that you think I'm barking at the moon with these things that I'm not particularly fond of. I've got thick skin. I can handle it. That's no biggie. As soon as you start trying to convince me that I'm objectively wrong, that's where we're going to have a disconnect. So, there are certain things that you would think that I like that I'm not particularly fond of. I've got two categories here. There are things that I should like, or things that you would think that I would like, that I'm just kind of lukewarm to. I take it or leave it. And then there are things that I actively dislike. Let's deal with the lukewarm stuff first. I appreciate a very well-written song. I appreciate a very tightly crafted lyric. And so it makes perfect sense that I would like Bob Dylan. I'm not a big fan of Bob Dylan. I don't hate Bob Dylan. I don't, throw darts at his picture or anything like that. But all things being equal, I would rather not listen to his music. If it's playing, I'm not going to run screaming into the night, but yeah, I've tried and it just doesn't grab me. I'm not all that fond of Bob Dylan. Secondly, I'm not all that fond of David Bowie. I've tried. I've listened to several of his albums, and I just don't get it. There are several of his songs that I like. I like Fame, and I'm sure there are others that, that if I thought about it, I could come up with. But on the whole, yeah, it doesn't touch me. I don't hate it, and I'm not all that fond of it. Now, this next one, there's a bit of a heartbreak here because I really want to like this artist. I really want to like this artist, and at the level of technical proficiency, I am very much impressed by this artist. But I don't particularly care for listening to Jimi Hendrix. I've tried. I've got albums, right? I've bought albums. I've sat through Are You Experienced, right? And I'm trying to like this, and it's. I mean, I appreciate the technique. I appreciate his skill as an artist, but listening to Jimi Hendrix is the music appreciation equivalent of, you know, eating your Brussels sprouts. I know it's good for me, and I know I should like it, but yeah. Although that's not a very good analogy, because I actually do like Brussels sprouts. But you get what I'm going for here. It just doesn't, you know, no. Fourthly, I grew up with this. This was a pretty constant feature of the soundtrack of my childhood, because I have older siblings who dearly love Led Zeppelin. And so I've listened to Led Zeppelin all my life, and I've never really understood. I've never really understood the appeal. There are some songs that I like. There are a few songs that actively annoy me. I become very uncomfortable with things that are asymmetrical. Just that's the way my personality is wired, and some of the things that they do with time signatures are asymmetrical, and that just drives me insane. So there are certain songs of theirs that I cannot listen to. Black Dog, I cannot listen to this thing. It drives me up the wall every time. But for the most part, the remaining stuff is just like, yeah, it's there. I mean, I know the songs. I know these albums. Like I said, I grew up listening to this music. But it never appealed to me. I don't hate Led Zeppelin, but I don't see what all the fuss is. And then finally, my fifth artist that I'm lukewarm towards, even though you probably would think that I like them, is Rush. I've never been able to get into Rush. I've tried a couple of times, because knowing everything else that I like, I should like this stuff. And it just, haven't been able to do it. Haven't been able to get there. The few songs that or the few times that I've actually listened to the lyrics, they tend to irritate me. The music itself is okay. It's not anything that there's nothing to any of the music that I've listened to by Rush that is a hook that makes me want to listen to more music by Rush. Every time I'm listening to it because I think I ought to, not because I'm interested in it. So we've got these artists. It's not that I hate them. I'm lukewarm towards them. And if you think that I like them, yeah, you probably should stop thinking that. I get why they are popular. I understand why most of my friends like this stuff. It's just, like I said, I'm lukewarm toward it. These next five, however, are things that I actively dislike. These are the things that if I'm at a party and one of these artists or one of these works starts playing, okay, that's time for me to go out and take a smoke break on the patio, or it's time for me, oh wow, we look at the time, I better get going here. I do not like these Sam I Am. I do not care for these five artists / works that we're about to talk about. Number one, it's a common question that you hear among music fans, particularly fans of 60s music. Who do you like better, the Beatles or the Rolling Stones? And this is like the easiest question in the world for me to answer, because I actually like the Beatles, and I hate the Rolling Stones. I hate the Rolling Stones. I can't think of a good reason to like the Rolling Stones. I don't like their musicianship. They've always sounded very sloppy to me. I hate Mick Jagger's voice. It is actively irritating. I don't like watching them. Their physical presence doesn't inspire me. There are a couple of bits of songs that I like. I like the guitar intro to start me up. I don't like the song, but I like that guitar intro. There are a couple of their 60s songs that I can listen to without wanting to fling myself off the nearest high building. But for the most part, I hate the Rolling Stones. Now, these next two artists, I have to admit right up front, I have great respect for these next two artists as songwriters. I think they are fantastic. They write some really good music. I just really hate their voices. As in, their voices actively repel me. Their voices are a stainless steel spike being inserted into my spine, and it drives me up the fucking wall every time I hear it, okay? I hate Elton John and Neil Young. I have great respect for both of them as songwriters. I think Elton John is an extremely talented composer. He writes a really good tune. I mean, this guy knows his music. And I really like a lot of Neil Young's songs. Harvest Moon is one of my favorite songs. It's in my perpetual set list for when I perform because I love that song. But every time I hear their voices, oh Jesus Christ! Oh man, I cannot think of anything musically that would be more repellent than having to listen to a whole album of either of these guys singing, with the exception of opera. I hate opera, so okay, we take opera out of the out of the mix. Elton and Neil. Oh God. And then finally, we've got 2 albums here. I should like both of these albums. Again, you know, based on my content, based on my demographics, you would think that I would like these 2 albums. The first, largely, I am ambivalent towards Eric Clapton. I've tried a few times to develop an appreciation for Eric Clapton, and I have fallen short. I mean, I'll listen to a few songs, and it's like, okay, I've had enough of this. Again, I have great respect for him as a technician. I mean, his guitar playing is wonderful, but his music is largely leaves me cold. So mostly Eric Clapton, I'm lukewarm to. But the album Derek and the Dominos, I actively hate. This thing's an abomination. I hate Layla. Oh, Jesus Christ, do I hate this song. I particularly hate Duane Allman's guitar in this. It is a mosquito. Oh, God. Oh, Derek, when Layla comes on, bam, I'm jabbing that radio button. Because that's the only way I'm going to hear it, is if it crops up while I'm listening to Sirius XM while I'm in the car. As much as I talk about Sirius XM, you'd think they'd be sponsoring me. I cannot stand Derek and the Dominos. I cannot stand any of the Bell Bottom Blues. I can listen to without shrieking and covering my ears, but everything else on this album just sucks swamp gas. I hate Derek and the Dominos. And then finally, okay, hear me out. There are actually a few songs on this album that I adore. Oh my God. But I would rather take a broadside up against the head with an aluminum bat than have to listen to Pink Floyd's The Wall ever again. Oh, Christ. I hate The Wall. I love Pink Floyd. I mean, I Wish You Were Here is one of the albums that I picked for my perfect album video. And Dark Side of the Moon was nipping right at its heels. I mean, they're both wonderful albums. Some of their later 60s stuff I'm okay with. I don't just clamor for it, but at the same time it's not repellent. But The Wall, oh dear God. I cannot with this album. Now, there are bright spots on here. Run Like Hell is a great song. Comfortably Numb is perfection. If this album had side 1, Run Like Hell and Comfortably Numb, and then another Run Like Hell to fill it out, and then you flip it over and you've got Comfortably Numb and then Comfortably Numb again. One of their best albums. That's a perfect album right there. Oh, I love those 2 songs. Another Brick in the Wall. Okay, I have to be fair. A lot of the reaction I have against this is the reaction of memory. I was in high school when The Wall came out, and um, I had several friends who really did not like having to go to school. They weren't getting anything out of it. Education was not working to the benefit of these people. And when they heard "We Don't Need No Education," oh man, they latched onto that as an anthem. And in my experience, stupid people have latched onto that. Yeah, we don't need no education. Yeah. Now, I know that's not what Pink Floyd is writing about. I know that's not what Roger Waters is talking about in the lyric of that song. I know that he's making a comment about British social class in that song. But it's still linked to those stupid people in my head. And I have a real hard time divorcing it. So if we just ignore the lyrics, I just listen to the music of Another Brick in the Wall. It's great. I love David Gilmour's solo in that. But, we're talking, two really great songs and one that's passable out of a double album of just mind-numbing, masturbatory, navel-gazing bullshit. I cannot with The Wall. Ah. So those are some things that you might think I like that I'm not all that fond of. I thought long and hard about doing this video because I don't want to spend a whole lot of time talking about things that I don't like and reasons why I don't like them. But every once in a while, it's nice or nice is a strong word. It's a good idea every once in a while to provide. We spend all of our time talking about this side over here, the stuff that I really like, the stuff that I really love. We want occasionally to talk about, the border on the other side as well. So I don't see this being a huge regular feature, but I may again, a few months from now, do another, while we're talking. Oh, I didn't mention Cat Stevens last time. Yeah, let's talk about Cat Stevens. Jesus Christ. Van Morrison, are you fucking kidding me? So there are more things that we could be talking about here. But that's all I'm going to talk about. That's enough bashing. If you enjoyed this, then by all means, click the like button. If you're interested in similar future chats, then click the subscribe button. And if you click the subscribe button, then go ahead and click the notification bell. It makes a difference for the metrics. I don't understand why, but it does, and I don't question it. Leave a comment below if you think that I'm a complete idiot. Leave a comment below if you agree with me. Wouldn't that be nice? And thank you very much for sticking it out to the end. Thanks for watching. I had to pick up my diet there. And I hope that the rest of your day is pleasant. See you soon.